The latest Pompey news, updates every day from the Pompey Sound news desk.
Yeah, we've actually not had one of those in a while. When I first came into the club, I think we had a couple of really good ones here in the first season. Some obviously brilliant ones. The second season and last year, it's been a long time coming because we've just not won at home for a while, and to do it against Ipswich tonight, who I think were a superb side, to do it in the style and the manner we did was amazing, and it was a brilliant night. To be part of that was very special. I think there's a lot of factors. We first of all, I think, had the right mentality coming off the back of the Middlesbrough win on Saturday, which was probably an easy thing to drop off when we haven't won many back-to-back games this year, and when we have won games, the only time we followed it up with a win off the back of that was obviously Charlton to Millwall. So we had to really focus on making sure that we didn't get too carried away with the win at the weekend, but also took a lot of confidence into the game today. So that was a big part of it. And then on top of some of the quality we showed, was just work rate. The work rate was absolutely superb, and the lads absolutely ran themselves into the ground, particularly off the back of such a long trip at the weekend. I think that when we got to grips with the game, and it was probably we defended very well for the first sort of 20 minutes to half hour. We didn't show enough quality on the turnover with some really good opportunities, not quite enough quality on the turnover. As soon as we did that, as soon as we showed a little bit of quality in possession, which we did in the build up to the first goal, we switched the ball really well, won the corner, put it in the back of the net, and then again on the second goal, that speed and that quality in transition, and Millie getting at his man. When we had those moments, the chances we had in the second half as well, I thought we looked a really good side. Yeah, I mean, we have to be solid against sides like this. Probably would have said on the balance of play, building up to the last 10 minutes of the half, 0-0 would have been okay. We obviously put a couple of chances in the back of the net, which was great, and we looked more and more dangerous as the game went on, particularly on the counter attack. And there was an opportunity at 2-0 to maybe get another goal with the set piece as well. So really pleasing, we looked dangerous from those, and to keep another clean sheet was great.
John MOUSINHO saying nothing worth hearing, really, after that game, because all the talking that was necessary was done on the pitch and done brilliantly. A red letter night at Fratton Park. Pompey 2, Ipswich 0. Proving that anybody can beat anybody in this league, and that we can be as good as anybody in the Championship. And if we beat Leicester, and we can say that out loud without fear of retribution from the gods based on our last two results. If we can beat Leicester 3 wins in a row, could there possibly be a better time in the season to score 3 wins in a row? Maybe the first 3 games of the season, so that you can pick up the Sunday paper and see yourself top of your league. That's quite exhilarating, tends not to last. But to win 3 games on the trot, if we can beat Leicester, to win 3 games on the trot at this particular part of the season, if you're a side that is battling for something in the league and you're there or thereabouts, the playoff zone or the relegation zone, 3 wins now is just manna from heaven, isn't it? It is ambrosia, the nectar of the gods. Fingers crossed, toes crossed, as we say so often at this point in the season, everything crossed. Bring on Leicester.
It was almost 2 years to the day since Connor Shaughnessy and Colby Bishop both scored on a famous night under the Fratton floodlights. And while it will not go down in folklore as much as that title-clinching victory over Barnsley, a 2-0 success against Ipswich was still vitally important. Shaughnessy nodded home an Adrian Segecic corner late in the first half, and just moments later, Colby Bishop scored a second. The 2-0 success moved Pompey up to 19th in the Championship standings and 4 points clear of the drop zone. And the man who opened the scoring feels that the praise should be shared around following an impressive team display. Shaughnessy said, "It's another special night at Fratton Park and a massive performance from everyone out there on the pitch. We were excellent to a man and did what we needed to do against a really good side with Premier League players in their squad. It's another special night at Fratton Park and a massive performance from everyone out there on the pitch. The whole back 4 were amazing, and I would personally have given Jordan Williams man of the match for his 1v1 defending on that wing. We knew there would be long periods when we didn't have the ball, but to get through the opening stages was huge, and we took confidence from that. Then we were able to show a bit of quality when we were in possession, and it was important that we backed ourselves. It was nice to get on the scoresheet from a great ball in from Segs, which is what we've worked on with Michael Doyle. He put the ball exactly where it needed to be, and I was able to get away from my man. I didn't even need to jump for that one. Then for Colby to score his goals soon after made sure it was a brilliant evening all round, and we deserved the win. It's been a positive few days for us, but we're still just taking things one game at a time, and Leicester will present a different challenge on Saturday.
The words of Conor Shaughnessy on Pompey 2, Ipswich 0. And both those two goals have a significance in themselves. Never mind about the result. Well, mind about the result. It was a great result. One of the results of recent memory, I would put it to you. But anyway, performances of recent memory, I would put it to you. But those goals were significant in their own right. First of all, Colby Bishop's. It's got him back on the score sheet. It's got him back, no doubt, like a great many fans, realising that they have always believed in him because he does a great job with all his play on the pitch throughout the 98 minutes that all football matches last nowadays, but he still knows where the back of the net is and he can finish. He's a finisher as well as everything else, and there's a lot to the everything else in Colby Bishop. On to Shaughnessy's goal. He is now something of an impact substitute, if you like, because the value that he is to the side as an attacking player when we have corners, free kicks and long throws is up there with anybody else who's ever worn the number 9 shirt for Pompey. He's that good when it comes to offensive situations. He's fantastic in defence, of course, we know that, but he finds the back of the net when the ball is put in the right place. And we could see from the way Pompey lined up for that corner that the plan was to plough a path for Shaughnessy to get to the ball first. So they had a miniature love train in front of him, Pompey players in front of him, whose job was to simply push defenders out of the way. But they couldn't shift the man who was marking Shaughnessy. And this is the point I want to make. It was George Hurst who was put on him, not for the first time, not for the last time in the game, at corners, offensive situations, when Shaughnessy, if you watch him go up for them, he wanders up. He doesn't run up lustily as though he fancies it. He sort of wanders up, almost as if he's out for a stroll, and by accident finds himself in the penalty area as Seggs or whoever is taking the corner is lining it up. So it's all part of the deception, and the deception in the case of beating Hurst to the ball when it came in, and as Shaughnessy quite rightly said, he didn't even have to jump for it. That was how badly he was being marked by George Hurst. And how was George Hurst marking him? I believe, if Hurst had marked our Shaughnessy in the conventional way, which used to be at the professional level, what it still is at the amateur level, which is that the defender stays with the man, he is marking. Sorry, got to do all that nowadays. Fair enough. Then at the point of impact, when the attacker might be getting his forehead close to the ball, then you mount a legitimate challenge, which is a shoulder-to-shoulder affair. If the ball is in the air, if both players are jumping, the defender times the challenge such that he may not get the ball, the attacker might get the ball, but he is so put off by the moment of legitimate impact that he can't get a meaningful header on it. As it was, Shaughnessy and Hurst were wrestling right the way up to the impact on Shaughnessy's forehead, and Hurst wasn't looking at the ball. He wasn't barely looking at Shaughnessy. He was just trying to wrestle him, pull him around, a little bit of shirt pulling, but mostly just what I think is classified in the rules as obstruction. Quite serious obstruction, and elsewhere on the pitch, of course, it would be a foul. But penalty area, you don't see them given. They don't get given. And it wouldn't have been given if he'd managed to out-wrestle Shaughnessy illegally out of making that contact that resulted in the goal. So my point is that there are times when, frankly, all this fighting that goes on and wrestling that goes on in the box at both ends, when corners are about to come in, isn't effective. Not as effective as conventional methods of defending man on man.
A cloud still hangs over West Brom as they battle against relegation, with the threat of points deduction in the air. Speaking to BBC Sport, football finance expert Kieran Maguire has his say on the West Brom case, revealing a possible error which would of course mean no deduction at all, and have a massive impact on the likes of Portsmouth, Oxford United and Leicester City. The finance expert said, "I've heard on the grapevine, and this was nothing to do with the club. They think that somebody, somewhere, may have made an error in adding up or subtracting some numbers. I think it's more of a mess-up than a conspiracy. I don't think there's been some kind of grand plan by Albion to overspend. If that is the case and West Brom believe that somebody has made an error, then the coming weeks will certainly be interesting." From pushing above the relegation zone, the Baggies' championship status could be thrown into greater doubt than ever because of actions away from the pitch. It would also be incredibly alarming if all 3 relegated clubs in the second tier were handed punishments related to financial issues on their way down to League One.
It's an issue that's critical to Pompey's, could be extremely critical, could be the absolute counterbalance of the centre point of Pompey's struggle to avoid relegation. It could be. So is Kieran Maguire, who is he, and is he somebody we should take seriously? The answer to the second question is definitely yes. And here's the reason, because who is he? He's a man who's been involved in financial education since 1989. He is senior teacher in accounting and finance at the University of Liverpool Management School, where he teaches football industries. He specialises in financial reporting, financial modelling and football finance. So without going into even greater detail, and there's plenty of it, he is somebody to sit up and take notice of. He no doubt has the intelligence and the knowledge, the expertise, and possibly the contacts in order to put together this now publicised possibility that the problems that West Brom thought they might be facing turn out to be down to an accounting error. Somebody put the decimal point in the wrong place. The reason I put it like that is because, does anybody remember Pompey, the cartoon character? They made a film of it with Robin Williams. He was supposed to gain special strength from eating spinach, and that myth went into American legend because when they published the iron content that they discovered in a laboratory in spinach, they put the decimal point in the wrong place. So it appeared that iron had, spinach had something like 10 times or maybe 100 times the amount of iron in it that it actually had, which was a lot anyway, but nowhere near what the published figure was. And by then it was too late to withdraw the figure. So an accounting error accounted for that. And he's saying that an accounting error may turn out to be responsible for West Brom having to sweat it out the next couple of weeks before their appeal against the possible ruling is decided. They're going to have to sweat it out. But Kieran Maguire says they've got nothing to worry about, which kind of means we've got a little bit more to worry about than we thought we had 48 hours ago.